Balancing avocation and vocation with monetization. Hi, I'm Ed Riggins, but most people just call me Riggo. Welcome back to Thoughts for Thursday. I struggled with this well into my 30s, that whole do what you love and the money will follow idea. I thought maybe I could achieve monetization, getting paid, by matching my avocation, another word for hobby, with my vocation, another word for occupation. Parks and gyms are full of people participating in sports just for the joy of the game. Community centers are full of people singing, acting, and displaying their art just for the joy of being creative. These are great avocations. An avocation for me is comedy, and I briefly tried my hand at performing stand-up. But when you tie in the need to pay the bills, competition complicates things, doesn't it? You pretty quickly realize you're competing with people who are willing to do for free what you're trying to get paid to do. I don't know any truck drivers or HVAC technicians or CPAs who are doing their jobs for free. These and many other jobs are recognized as just that, jobs, activities that society has long recognized as having a clear economic value. In Jim Carrey's commencement address at Maharishi University several years ago, he has a pretty idealistic view about this. His own father was apparently very funny, but chose to play it safe and be an accountant. But then he got fired from the so-called safe job. Here's what Carrey had to say. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance at doing what you love, close quotes. Mike Rowe, the dirty jobs guy, in a different interview, had a much more pragmatic view. He said, passion is way too important to be without, and it's way too fickle to follow around, close quote. So how do you deal with this conundrum? I can only offer you this from my own experience. By my late 30s, I'd enjoyed some mixed success, but I hadn't really found my lane. Then I realized that the thing I could monetize was my willingness to accept rejection. There were other things, but this became a foundational aspect of my vocation. I don't enjoy rejection. It's just that I have a higher tolerance for it than most people. Gaining access to key decision makers and gaining their trust is not easy, but in the right context, the financial rewards are really great. So I put on my big boy pants and learned to deal with rejection. That was in service of my ambitious income goals. A lot of things opened up when I started making more money, and that was rewarding. Remember what I said earlier, that comedy was a passion of mine, an avocation? I was never going to make it to stand-up, but what I discovered was that comedy is a great way to relieve tension during intense negotiations over large sums of money. I later discovered that comedy is also useful as a professional speaker. Is there a difficult thing that people are willing to pay you money for that you don't necessarily enjoy, but you're willing to refine and do anyway? Maybe that's your vocation. Refining my ability to deal with rejection filled this role for me. Do you have a talent, something you do enjoy, that might somehow support doing that difficult thing? Maybe that's your avocation. Carefully choosing times to use my comedic skills during intense negotiations fills this role for me. Maybe bringing these two things together is a way for you to find your way to monetization. Thanks for joining me.
Doors closing.